So the main agenda that we are having today is to give an idea about like what is CCI Enterprise, um, and for addressing the concerns regarding like how the trainings are going on, like what are the things that we are going to cover, and what are the modes, what are the technologies that we'll be looking at, like what are the major focus area that we'll be focusing on, and so like many people who have mentioned over here. It's everybody's bucket list, a dream is to have a CCI number next to their name, right? I mean, that is a utmost validation that any network engineers they could have. And there are many blogs that you might have read in the internet regarding that is CCI is still worth. But as somebody who is working in the networking field, that you know the amount of value that add to your designation, like when you have that particular number next to your name, right? So so we are going to cover CCI and infrastructure training. Okay, so just giving some basic details upfront. The class timing would be from 9 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. IST. So every Monday to Friday we'll be having the classes, and like you are already attending, the class mode is going to be uh, online. How many of you guys have? I mean, how many of you guys have a knowledge till CCNP? Just making sure. I mean, how many of you guys have done CCNP out here? I mean, confident with routing like EIGRP, OSPF, BGP. I mean, in a packet level, I'm talking. How many of you guys? I mean, the reason which I'm asking is because to get an overview. I mean, either you could reply that in the chat. So to get an overview, how to be like make a like batch specific curriculum just for you. Okay, so the main agenda that we are having like this complete end-to-end training where we will be covering from CCNP to CCIE. Okay, so this is what we are going to which we have promised to each and every one of you. Okay, so the only thing that we are expecting from you guys is that like you guys should have a knowledge of CCNA. So I mean, I'm talking about the current syllabus like 200, 301 syllabus. I mean, at least you should be having that knowledge. EIGRP is not included there, BGP is not included there, but at least you should be understanding like what is routing table, IP lookup, ARP, GR, proxy ARP, MAC address table, MAC address discovery. This is what I'm expecting. Okay, but in the initial few days of the classes, if you guys are lacking in any particular area, but I don't think any of you guys will be doing that because you, like you told, like you already have like 10 to 15 years of experience. But uh, okay, but just in case, if you have any clarification that you have to make on that particular technologies, you can just, I mean, tell that. So we could. Add that to into a certain modules like while we are explaining that particular things, but what I am expecting is, okay, at least you should be having a knowledge till CCNA. Okay, so I hope everybody have done their CCNA, right? I mean, from like all of you guys who are attending this training, like everybody are confident with CCNA, right? I mean, can I get a thumbs up or a confirmation in the chat? Okay. Uh, so we, I mean, since what I have understood from all of you guys is that like almost everybody like they are good with the basic stuff. So we'll be directly starting with the routing part. Uh, okay, so we'll be starting with the routing as the first module of the sessions. We'll be directly starting with the EIGRP. So I mean, the routing modules is going to take like a month. Like one like around like 5 weeks of training will be there for the routing, and around like 3 weeks of training like we'll be giving for the switching. Then we'll be directly moving for the next 3 to 4 weeks for the SD-WAN, the SDA, and the other technologies. It is going to take around like another 2 weeks. So in all together, like we are going to take like from 3.5 to 4 months of complete training would be required. And on the top of that, people who have opted for the lab practices, there will be like boot camps and lab practices that will be done right after once we cover the technology part of the session. Sounds cool?
Understood, Joel. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And how about QoS
Yep.
and
We'll
automation
be covering
part?
that, like all the other IP technologies that we'll be covering over there. Okay. I'll walk you through the syllabus, like what we have here on the table. Like we'll be walking you through that. We'll take that in a couple of minutes. Okay. So, this is what in CCI Enterprise Infrastructure version 1.1. So are the topics that we are going to cover. So the first section that will be basically known as the network infrastructure part. So in there, the first section that if you look, you will be having like the switched campus. Okay. So in switched campus, switch administration, managing MAC address table, error discovery, recovery like L2, MTU, CDP, LLDP, all these technologies you might be already knowing. But we will be also discussing about like some advanced things which are in regards to this. And VLAN technologies, access port, trunk ports, native VLAN, manual VLAN pruning. So this is something which you might have already done, but we this is also a part of the CCI syllabus. This is also a part of the CCNP syllabus as well. So normal range and extended VLANs, voice VLANs, and then we have either channel like LACP, static, layer 2, layer 3, load balancing, either channel misconfiguration guard, identify, and all other concepts. Then we have like spanning tree. Then in routing, we have like administrative, I mean, like we are discussing about the AD values, static routing, in static routing, like again, like unicast, multicast, policy-based routing, VRF, route leaking. Then we have EIGRP, operations, I mean, like different operations that happens in the EIGRP, then the OSPF, both version 1, version 2, and version 3. Then we'll be covering about the BGP. Then the multicast part we'll be covering there. Then in software-defined infrastructure, we have both SD-WAN and SD-access. So in SD-access, we'll be covering the basic things that are mentioned over there, the LAN automation, list BGP control planes, all these things we'll be mentioning there. Then we'll be coming and discussing the SD-WAN architecture. Again, I mean, if in specific you have to speak like we are discussing about the controller onboarding, the template creation, creating policies, traffic engineering, all those things which are related to the SD-WAN, we'll be covering that. Once we are done with that, we'll be coming back to the transport technologies. So where we discuss about MPLS, DMVPN, then in infrastructure and security services, we'll be discussing about the QoS, AAA, and other I mean, like other technologies we'll be discussing over there. And once we come back, I mean, the last part of the session. So this is mostly, I mean, like very direct questions that you will be getting in the exams. So basically discussing about the infrastructure and automation programmability, where we discuss about the different other technologies, JSON, XML, YAML, Jinja, automation scripting, like again, like programmability, like creating like basic Python scripts. So we'll be discussing all those things. So the way that we are going to start, we are directly going to start with routing. So once we discuss routing, I mean, since I'm not sure like how, like, I mean, I mean, there are people like who are, one second. Okay. Yeah. So it is going to be mixed of people. So what I mean, like, what I have planned in mind is that from tomorrow, like, what we'll be starting is we'll be starting with the EHRP. Okay. So because in a very basic level, we'll be starting with the EHRP. Okay. So in the next 1 weeks of the time, so while discussing the EHRP, we'll be also covering the things that are mentioned. I mean, like the previous requirements. Look, you also will be like just brushing up these technologies. So once we cover EHRP, then we'll be moving with OSPF. Then once we do OSPF, then get into the BGP part. Then MPLS. So once we done that, then we'll cover the switching part. Then once we cover the switching part, then we'll come and discuss the DMVPN and all other technologies. Then once we done with that, we'll start with the uh, we will start with the software defined SDN part. In SDN part, first we'll start with the SD-WAN. So once we finish SD-WAN, we'll come back to SD-access. Once we cover SD-access, we will be discussing the like infrastructure security services, the security part of it. Then we'll be discussing the automation and programmability. This is something which we'll be keeping at the last. So once we are done with that, we'll be starting with the boot camps. The boot camps will be like 1 hour per day. So then the lab will be shared with you all, and then you will be able to practice the boot camps. So is it what you were expecting? Okay, so talking about the CCI lab exam, I hope this class might be already having an idea about that. Okay, so if you look back in the previous, I mean, like how Cisco came into the market. I mean, like, you guys already know that, and Cisco has like a lot of certification. So certification actually started from CCNA. I'm talking about the other certification. Then the certification moved to CCNP. So CCNA is Cisco Certified Network Associate. This is professional and Cisco Certified Internet Expert. Okay. So previously, if you look at the CCNA tracks, there was routing and switching. Okay, I'm just mentioning R&S. Then service provider, wireless, security. This is the same for the CCNB also. Okay, so once you do your CCNA routing and switching, you're going and coming back and learning. Like to advance your knowledge on the other tech. Like to get more knowledge, you're doing your CCNP, and finally, you're doing your CCIE studies. Okay, so in both of the places, like in CCNA and CCNB, there's a written exam. So once you clear that particular written exam, you're going to get certified. Okay. But why CCI is considered as the most, like in-demand certification in the market right now? And we're not hiding any details like here, because we already know that like there are certain measures where people are getting certified in a certain way for CCNA or CCNP or any other certification that happens in the market. But what is the main difference between like CCI is that CCI is basically physical exam where you have to actually physically present over there, do a lab, like which is a long lasting lab, which is going to test you like both physically, mentally, and like your knowledge also. So there, once you clear that, you're going to get a number. There you cannot do any type of malpractices. Your knowledge will be tested to the core. Okay. To do that certification, previously this was a criteria. You should have been a CCNA certified. Then, depending on the track, if you let's say that is routing and switching, then you should do your CCNB routing and switching. Then you should be writing your CCI written exam about routing and switching. Then you will have to do the CCI lab exam. So what happens right now after 2019? What is the main difference that happened is, uh, what is a prerequisite right now? Okay, so right now the CCNA routing and switching, all this, like the CCNA, they replaced it to like CCNA 20, 200, 301, and the CCNB. So CCNB has like CCN. There is a CCNB core exam, and there is a dedicated like focus exam. So anybody who is doing their CCNB core exam is automatically uh, permitted to write the CCI lab exam. So previously, like what was the scenario? Like you should first finish your CCNA certification, then do your CCNB certification, then do your like CCI written exam, then CCI lab exam. So right now, the only criteria is that you can okay. So again, to do your CCNB certification, previously you have to do your CCNA certification. But right now, from 2019, because of so many certification and because of so much of effort that is going in the background, what Cisco does is that Cisco removed this entire procedure and made it like more simple. So the written exam right now, or the exam that is considered right now to qualify you for the lab exam, is basically the CCNB core exam. So once you finish your core exam, you are automatically qualified to write your CCI lab exam. And again, if you look at the CCNP core, okay, so CCN, the N core, what you would see is that, so 90% of the syllabus that is mentioned in the CCNB, you would see the same details or the same section of the courses in the CCI exam also. Okay, so 90% of the things that you're going to learn, that you have already learned in your CCNB, it is going to come back over here. So it is like more like a revision. Okay, so to clear the lab exam, okay, so anybody who is having, around like like a CCNP knowledge, they could directly practice with the lab exams. They could do that. It is not going to be a hectic task. But the people like who only have a CCNA knowledge, for them, okay, so what we are covering, like we are covering from the CCNP to the CCI. So both the modules that will be incorporated with this. Any questions, any confusions? Anyone?
Yeah,
Guys, any question?
Joel, I just have one question.
Yeah,
So to be eligible to take the CCIE lab exam, you should have a valid core exam, right? I mean,
yeah,
despite how old it is, as long as it is valid, you should be eligible for the exam, or there
yeah,
is limited time to take it.
yeah. I mean, I don't understand. Like the certificate is valid for like 3 years. So if you're
Yeah,
getting, I
I
mean,
know,
the
but I've heard some people saying like, okay, once you take the core exam, then you will have only 1 year to take the CCIE lab exam. Otherwise, you will not be eligible for that. So I need to make sure, like, whether is it within these 3 years I can book the lab exam, or is it actually like within 1 year only?
Uh, so normally what happens here is, I mean, as far as my knowledge, it's going to be like 3 years, like you have the time. But what happens, like why people might, like there are going to be like version changes. Like when the version changes happens, like then that's going to be a problem. That is why like most people say that you have to have that. Like if version changes happen, then that's going to be a problem. Like it's better right before your CCI exam, like right before you actually are ready to give the CCI lab exam. That's when I will be recommending you to give the CCNP NCore exam. Okay. And about the
Joel.
validity, I mean, I just have to cross check and I'll update you in the tomorrow session on that. All
Okay,
right.
thank you.
Yeah, hi, Joel. I
Yeah.
have a quick question. I told you, like, I attempted in 2012, version 4. So at my time, I have to give the return, and the
Yeah.
return was valid till 1.5 year, like 18 months. Okay, within the 18 months, I have to give the lab exam. So
Yeah.
what format is changed now to, like, same? I know that for the lab for CCI, I do not need any prerequisite. But what, like, current scenario is also the same. Like I have to do the core exam, which is quote unquote similar to written, and
Yeah.
then be like for 18 months, it's now extended to 3 years. Is it your
I mean,
like it is the same? Yeah.
okay. So that I'll just update you. I mean, okay. So since that, I mean, like that question came, I also have a small confusion on that. I'll be updating you. Like I
No,
told,
no,
like what?
Joel, that is
Yeah.
to confirm that once you have the written exam, you will have a validity of 3 years to take the lab exam. Yes, I have
Yeah.
inquired. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's what, I mean, I was informed, but since he asked, like, he told, like, that 1 year. So, since with the version changes, I was a bit confused. So thank you. Like, one second.
yeah, it's Shashi. Yeah,
Yeah, Shashi. Okay. Sorry.
because since a week
Yeah.
I'm inquiring.
Okay.
Uh,
So yes,
Thank
thank you.
thank you, Sashi. Means after giving the core is a quote unquote the same return, the we get the 3 years down window time. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks. Thank you so much. Yeah.
okay. Guys, yeah. So, again, coming back, we are not done. Okay. Uh, so, like I told, the formal prerequisites is, I mean, like, to give it I mean, to take the session, I mean, like you should be having at least a CCNA level knowledge, a recommended experience, like 5 to 7 years of experience in enterprise networking environments, familiarity with routing, switching, WAN technologies, and network services. Uh, okay, so ideally, if you know this course, 35411 NCore core exam, this would be directly qualifying you to write the CCA lab exam. And like Shashi just confirmed here, like we could have like we have a validity of 3 years. So within the 3 years, we are able to appear for the lab exam. This is about 6 months, right? As in that I have to stop this journey. So that's the word can say join with them. Yeah, I mean, you can just inform your counselor regarding this. He will be helping you with the proper reallocations. I mean, you have two counselors here. I mean, they're always there to support the students. So you can just reach out to them. They'll be helping you with the, I mean, like whatever the help that you need, they'll be helping with that. Now, okay. So evolution of CCI routing and switching to CCI EI. Okay, so previously that okay, like some of you guys have already attempted here. Some okay, I'll look into that later. Or you could just tell me that. Okay. So previously, like many of you guys have written over here or attempted over here, previously the CCI was routing and switching. When I was starting my journey in networking, so at that time when I was doing the courses, at that time also it was routing and switching. Then later it changed into the traditional, I mean, which was focusing more of the traditional routing and switching. So there were routing classes, switching classes. Okay, that was all that we needed. But what is the like the involvement of enterprise is that like you are learning about security, you are learning about wireless, you are learning about automation. So in and out, you will be able to manage the network. I mean, you are a person like who will be able to architect, design it. So most architects or engineers, like design engineers, like who are working on the technologies, for them it is going to be like very easy because they are almost knowing everything what they actually need. Then you have the software-defined networking where you will be discussing the SDA and SD-WAN, then in automation and programmability. Okay, so in automation and programmability, we'll be discussing. Okay, so basically, why I tell. Okay, so most of the institute like that you go out there, like they are giving you just the training materials, like the recordings. So I was also giving trainings for DevNet. That's why I said like we could easily give that training for automation and programmability. That's not going to be any issues. We could easily cover that. But what is officially mentioned at the syllabus, it's going to be like very basic. Like we are basically discussing about like few scripts. But this is like one of the recommendation that I'm giving you. I mean, so most of the engineers like they are network engineers because at some point of time like they were afraid about programming. Okay, but what happens here is this programmability is something like which is picking up. Okay, so most of the WAN applications are automated with SD-WAN. LAN is automated with SDA. So right now AI is also coming into the picture. So where network devices are mounted and managed by AI. Many people deny it. Some people like they strongly vouch for it. But at the end of the day, evolution is something which we cannot restrict. So programming is something which is something like which is basically like working with the logics, and it's not going to be something which is complicated. While discussing that session in our session, like in our session, like we are going to understand that. I mean, I'm going to teach in a certain way that you're going to you are going to love the programming. Then enhanced security measures, again, different others technologies which are related to the security we'll be covering. Okay, now understanding the 8-hour lab exam. So in lab, there are basically two operations that you have. Like, so before actually going for the lab, like there is going to be a design phase. So in design phase, like you will be getting like a scenario-based questions you will be getting. It is for 3 hours. Okay. So and in the 3 hours, once you finish this questions, then you will be able to do your session two. Okay, where is basically the labs that we will be practicing in the boot camps. So once you practice, I mean, like once you finish that, you have to go over here. So even if you finish your design in 2 hours, you won't be getting any extra hours for the deployment part. So in deployment part, again, you will be only allocated with 5 hours of 5 hours of time you will be given. So after this first design phase, you'll be given a break. During the break, I mean, like you'll be getting a lunch break or a snack break. So right after that, you'll be starting with the deployment phase. So in altogether, in both the sessions, you need to pass. Okay, so if you, uh, I mean, if you finish your deployment part, but you failed in the design part, you are still failed. You will have to go through the entire process once again. Okay, so in the design phase, like I told, it is going to be scenario based. In module two, we'll be I mean, that is basically the deployment part. So then they will be asking to deploy, operate, and optimize. Like whatever we are deploying, we have to operate, and so they'll be might be asking some changes regarding like the optimization of it. We'll be able to we'll be doing that also. So, but don't worry about the deployment part. We will be covering in a certain way in the boot camps so that I mean you won't be facing like any issues on the deployment part. Yeah. So any questions?
I
Guys,
have few, but I will talk to Bharat tomorrow. On the lab
Okay.
part, yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. I understand.
So Joel,
Yeah.
previously there were like from the version 4, okay,
Hmm.
where when the routing and switching is having frame relay as their like the core of the the L2 VPN. So now that time there is the two parts. One is a troubleshooting section which is run for for 2.5 hours, and then remaining was the configuration part. So now the T-shoot part is also there or not, my first question. And the design and diagnostic, the previously they called the diagnostic section, so
Yeah.
they change it to design, and like it is fixed to like 3 hours of design and 5 hours of actual config. Like this is the new setup. The
Yes.
troubleshooting
Yes.
section is not there.
I mean, so in the design phase, nothing will be there. You'll be getting like scenario-based questions. Like scenario-based questions, I think you might have seen that. I could show you. I mean, I could show you like a one day. I'll be. I mean, I can get some screenshots of. I mean, not officially. I'll be able to show you that you will be
Yes,
also.
yes, I got it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
NDA,
But
NDA. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, yep. I mean, I could just have a walk through that to that thing, but the process remains the same. Maybe we'll be having like I mean, like some simulations also will be given to you where you will be able to easily attach, detach things and do that scenario-based questions. You will be you will be doing in the designing phase. Little bit of that which is related to the with the troubleshooting process that also will be added there. And right now, if you look at the syllabus is actually, I mean, mentioned in a way that the following topics are generally guidelines for the contents like to be included on the exam. Your knowledge, skills, and ability on the topics will be tested throughout the entire network lifecycle. So anything that is mentioned on the software-defined infrastructure, you might be getting a question which is from the network infrastructure question you will be getting in the, the software defined part. Okay, they might be integrating a question like that, or in the transport technologies or in the infrastructure and security services they might be integrating. So in the designing part also you might be getting uh, the main questions which is related to the troubleshooting process. And in the deployment part again, there are different types of troubleshooting that are already a part of the question as well. So yeah, it works in both ways.